John, did you get a chance to watch the new Mandalorian episode?
Yeah, again, you always ask, but you make sure that I watch them all. So yes, Nick, I have.
It's a combo, man. It's a conversation.
Yeah, whatever. So before I get into it,
First
I want
of all,
to hear. Yeah.
Did you just change your shirt? No, I'm just kidding.
It's cold in the basement. Hey, man, it's snowing out. But so actually, I'm interested to hear what you thought about it before I kind of get into it. So I'm interested.
Well, I don't want to jump to the ending sequence.
Yeah.
Is it or bonus?
Again, you guys,
What
if you
would
haven't
call it?
watched, spoilers incoming. So obviously, watch it beforehand. Yeah.
Well, first thing I just want to say, like, it really reminded me of maybe episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Phantom
Like,
Menace.
it had a lot of like, maybe it's because of the stupid droids they brought back. And
Which I didn't mind. I didn't mind having those guys.
I didn't
back.
mind
I'm
it because
okay.
he shot at them right away. Like, no, you're
Well,
not.
they were just
gonna
they were just a quick little roll too. They weren't like an extensive thing where they're trying to push it in your face. Hey, this is from a previous episode. I did think it's weird that almost in every Star Wars movie or game or whatever, you end up on Tatooine. It's supposed to be this outer planet that has no significance, and yet we always end up on there. And it didn't really play any significance unless your little ending theory is correct. It didn't play really any significance to the story. It could have been any desert planet. So I felt it kind of unnecessary that it was Tatooine specifically, but that's just a minor thing I thought about. I'm like, did it need to be Tatooine? There wasn't anything specific about it. They just landed on a planet and they took off for a planet. It didn't need to be, But anyway, continue.
Well, I think they are at Tatooine because our good friend Boba Fett is back.
Now again, this is Nick's theory, not mine, but go ahead and stick with them. He has some backing on this.
I think hopefully we get a backstory of how he got out of that pit.
Sarlacc pit, right?
And
Yeah.
has he been stuck there for 30 years or whatever?
So you guys, I think we talked in a previous episode, but in the books in the books that came after the original trilogy and even up through the prequel trilogy, there was a whole expanding universe of books. There were some really good reads, but when Disney bought out Lucasfilm and Star Wars, they kind of said these aren't real anymore. But in the books, he does get out of the Sarlacc pit. He doesn't die there. And so they could be borrowing that from the books. He's just such an iconic character for how little screen time he has in Return of the Jedi, and then they had the Star Wars holiday specials when they first introduced him, which is hilarious. But
which they brought his gun back with the Mandalorian, that gun from the animated Christmas special.
So technically within the Star Wars universe, he does survive, but whether Disney's actually going to do that or not is interesting. But you had heard that Disney's not using specific Star Wars original stuff.
So
right?
Maybe this is different because he's not the main character or whatever. I wonder if
so
he's going to be
do a really
like
brief
the main villain.
recap of that, just in case they haven't listened to the previous podcast on why they might not be using like a Disneyland and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I've heard, now I'm like totally second guessing what I've heard from other people talking, but George Lucas still owns a percentage of his original characters. And that's why like Disney tries to like name things differently and do things differently. Like at the theme park, they didn't use a planet George Lucas created because they would have to pay him a percentage for the rights or whatever since he's the creator and stuff. So
Which is something that a lot of people complain about.
Yeah. And I think that's why they went with the Mandalorian route instead of a Boba Fett kind of route. But
because if he did survive, and if they do bring him back in the series, which again, this is Nick's theory, it's not mine, but
do you not think he's coming back?
I mean, you know what? It would be a big fan service. People would love it, but that would take all the attention off this. It would take all the attention off of the Mandalorian character and put it on Boba Fett. You know. But then again, I mean,
But what a cool rival, right? Like,
rival.
I mean, like, think about like another bounty hunter that can measure up to this guy, because this guy seems pretty badass and like no one can defeat him kind of thing. So seeing Boba Fett, we're like, wait a minute, he's supposed to be the best, even though Han Solo kicked his butt when he was blind. What do you mean, Chewie?
Boba Fett, where? But in that short period of time he's on screen, he made such an impression. It's just so.
He's
amazing.
such a cool character, and it was part of the costume design too. And I think, I mean, like,
he had the the Batman belt of utilities. He was really a perfect character. It's amazing that he came and went so quickly. Yeah. I mean, obviously he was in Empire Strikes Back and stuff as well, but he didn't play a big role.
He wasn't. I mean, it was Luke's story. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, it was like Luke's story. By trying to do that, it would have made for a terrible film, probably, trying to include him too much and stuff.
Yeah, true.
But
true.
I believe he did come back because I remember, and like every time he walked, he had like spurs, like a cowboy boot. Okay, see the spurs. Now let's play the Mandalorian clip. Boom, John. That's why. That's why he's coming back.
All right. So, but now, just Nick, to put you on blast, you don't believe anybody else in the Star Wars universe has the little Western cling?
No, because I think his character. I remember George Lucas saying something a lot that his character was modeled after Clint Eastwood, kind of like a rogue, like Western bounty hunter, kind of like cowboy kind of thing. And I think that's why they gave him that sound effect when he walked and stuff. But I wish I can quote my source. I remember hearing that somewhere. Gosh, I feel terrible. I'm like just spouting out things lately. You know, I have no reference points. Yeah. And now with Google nowadays, I'm probably so wrong. Like if people fact check me, I'm just gonna be like, ah.
So aside from the potential in Nick's mind Boba Fett reveal at the end of the episode, what did you think about the episode as a whole? Did you like it? Did you feel like it was a worthwhile episode? Because I have some very strong thoughts on it. But
yeah, it was okay. I feel like they're all going down. I feel like the series started off so good, and I feel like I think like the mystery of the character and stuff was cool in the first episode and stuff. But maybe this is why he didn't do anything with Boba Fett, because maybe too much of Boba Fett, he doesn't become an interesting character after a while.
Maybe.
But
I mean, so my thought was, again, I thought about why Tatooine other than a fan service, and people can say, oh, it's Tatooine. There was no reason for it to be on Tatooine. But the biggest thing that I thought about is kind of what you mentioned a podcast or two ago, at least two ago, is that what's the greater story here? Like this had nothing to do with anything, really. It didn't really forward the story at all. It just literally, they got shot at by this pilot that we didn't know about at the end of the last episode. He had to land. It just happened to be Tatooine. And then there's this young guy that's pretty much...
Because of Boba.
Yeah, well, there's this guy sitting at the same seat basically that Han Solo was at, has his feet up like Han Solo did, gets him to go on this mission with him, ends up betraying him, and just gets shot in the end. There was no... It didn't forward the story as a series
nothing.
At all.
There was nothing.
I almost felt like it was a little... like this would be like the type of little spin-off thing you would have in a little side episode or something, you know, not part of the main arc. If we were going on 20 episodes for the season, then I'd be like, okay, we can take... But for how many episodes we have, I felt like this maybe should have...
Yeah, it was weird. It reminded me of like an anime filler episode.
That's what I meant. Like it's like it felt like filler. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
like anime is known for doing this with Naruto and other shows where you would be following the plot, but because they catch up to the manga or whatever, they have to have filler for the next year, and they just have like stupid, like pointless stories. You're just like, what a waste of my time. Just like, why not?
And it's
just
not
wait
to
a
say
year?
that it wasn't entertaining. I mean, it wasn't like a waste of our time that we're not going to get back.
There was no advancement though.
Yeah, there was no advancement. Now, so this is a little interesting thing that I read. So we had talked about in a previous episode how, Baby Yoda, they're wanting to sell merchandise. They don't have any merchandise for Baby Yoda yet, and everybody's wanting it so bad. And so I guess they've planned to have Baby Yoda merchandise, but it's not coming out until way after Christmas. So there's a few bootleg things going on, like, you know, ghetto t-shirts and things like that. But aside from that, so they didn't cash in on this as much as you and I thought they were. They probably are, and maybe they're trying to ramp up that demand. But yeah, so I thought that was just kind of an interesting little side point. Nothing to do with the conversation we're having, but yeah, they don't have any Baby Yoda merchandise. Because again, they're really kind of banking on, look at this cute Baby Yoda, you know, in this episode.
Yeah.
But I have to apologize and go back on what I said last episode about this was 5, right? Episode 5. Episode 4 being too much like the previous ones, because episode 4 was called Sanctuary. I mean, that's supposed to be a more mild-mannered episode, whereas this one was called The Gunslinger, I think it was. So this was supposed to be more of a Western. He goes off on his own and does his own thing. But again, it didn't feel as epic. Like those first 2 episodes were the best episodes.
Yeah. This one did remind me of a John Wayne film, though. What was one of the last ones he was in? Was it called The Search or something like that?
I've seen a few John Wayne films, but not that many.
Oh, it reminded me of it. Like he went, and then there was like the whole discussion with the sand. What are those sand people called?
The Tusken Raiders?
Yeah, there was like a thing where they bargained to help get past the land, and that like totally reminded me of like a John Wayne movie for some reason that I watched with my grandpa, but I can't remember if it was called The Search or the John Wayne Experience. I don't know what it's called.
That can be encouraging in a way. I mean, and then that could explain why all these episodes have been feeling different. Like if the previous episode was basically Seven Samurai, or Samurai 7 or Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai. Samurai 7 is an excellent anime if you guys ever get a chance to watch it.
So if this one was Seven Samurai, the last one was Seven Samurai, and this one is a John Wayne movie, and we felt like other ones have been like Clint Eastwood films.
Yeah.
Maybe that explains why they're not connected, and maybe they don't need to be connected. We're used to wanting to have, a perfect arc of a story, a climax and a resolution and everything. Maybe that's not what Disney has in mind. Maybe they just wanted to keep this going.
Yeah, but like, for example, Robot, Sex, and Love, or what is it called?
Yeah,
that show on Netflix.
3 words in different orders. I don't know. Yeah.
Or Robot, Love, and Violence, or Death. I
Death. The last one's Death. Yeah.
Not sex. Death. But even those little short stories had arcs. This little short story didn't have an arc.
No.
Like there was no character advancement. Like nothing like was really even on the line.
Yeah,
like the whole thing was just kind of like, ugh. Like there was times where I felt like I was kind of being dragged through it, and like I was watching it because I didn't want to say it just because we can talk about it, but like if we didn't have to talk about it, I might have shut it off to watch something else. Like I wasn't that engaged into this episode.
And I knew it was getting close to being over because they're only about a half an hour, but I thought, gosh, this can't be the end yet because nothing's happened yet. But then they cut to that last scene where someone's leaning down, which you think is Boba Fett, but someone's leaning down like, oh, something's still going to happen in the episode. And then it just cut to the credits right there. I just thought like, wow, this really didn't have a plot storyline to it unless is not a filler, but feeding into a greater plot line that's coming up. But as an episode by itself, I'm like, okay, this wasn't really, I didn't mind watching it, but it wasn't really effective. But,
I think episode 2 was more of the gunslinger. Or wait, no, was episode 2 or 3 when he goes into the base to rescue Baby Yoda?
I thought that was
Was that 3?
I forgot.
I think it was 3 because it was 3 because he rescues him and then his other buddies come in and save him. But I thought that was the gunslinger episode. Like
that felt a lot more like
that was such a good episode. Like going through and turning around the
like
corners.
You feel like a draw and a shootout. There wasn't even really a shootout really. In this one,
I mean they should have if they're going full Western, they should have did the classic standoff. Not even on a ramp or something. They should have like had a flat ground, did the shots between the legs, like have the whip. You know what I mean? Like, do it. If you're gonna go all Western, like have them ride in the desert together, like yeehaw, and like looking for these things, talking to the native people, and then going. It's like, come on, like it's a Western film. This is such a Western film. Like it starts.
Well, now is the odd thing is. The biggest thing that I've noticed in the 5 episodes we've had so far is as the episodes have gone on, they felt less and less like Westerns. As soon as I saw the title, The Gunslinger, I thought, oh, okay, they're bringing it back. But this didn't really feel like that. They were hunting someone.
They tried to have the themes. Like, I think they were trying to push the Western upon us. Like, even though there's like epic shots in the desert of them riding on the bikes and stuff. Like, I think they were really trying to push Western, but like, I don't know if it came across the right way.
So one thing that you and I talked about that did come back is the speeder bikes. We're like, oh, I wish we had speeder bikes, and we did get speeder bikes.
Disney's listening to us.
Yeah, they did. And they did have a design. I don't know if you ever played Shadows of the Empire. It was a game that came out, I think, on Nintendo 64 originally. It was a really good Star Wars game. It was the first, and they made a book on it as well.
Was that the one where you're a bounty hunter? You start off you with the Millennium
Hoth.
Falcon. Hoth. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember you jumped like this. And then the guy's arm was like, oh, I totally remember playing that game.
So you're later on in the game, you're on Tatooine and you're riding those particular looking bikes from to get away from gangsters or whatever on the planet. I'm like, those are exactly the same
game on the 64. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And it's funny because I remember playing that and thinking, gosh, this is the best. So I didn't play it on Nintendo 64. They released it for PC later on. It was really optimized for it. And I thought, gosh, this is the best looking game I've ever played. And I looked up game footage, like probably within the last year. I was just curious how it held up. It looked so bad.
Maybe they're bringing him back.
Well, he was just part of the game. You mean
I know, but I mean, he could be in the universe. I guess. I mean,
they could. I mean,
but it's not because it's Boba Fett. Because I'm right.
Because I'm right.
Come on, John. Come on, jump on the train, buddy.
So you really think you maybe would have turned this off if if
I just wasn't like oh my gosh, like it's like I don't know if I'm just my attention spans are getting worse when it comes to stuff. Like I don't know if because I've been watching so many good shows lately too, where it's just like I feel like
and it wasn't bad. It's just
it's not
it's
bad,
not
but
as good as the previous episodes.
And you can just tell right away with like the pacing at the beginning.
Yeah,
like that was a pretty lame space battle.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was yeah. They totally did the Top Gun thing, slowing down. He flies right by. I'm like, oh, Maverick, good job, But I thought it was
Cube or whatever.
Yeah, Ice Cube. You mean Iceman?
Iceman. Gosh, who's Ice Cube?
He's the rapper, you jerk.
The rapper. Yeah, from Friday, right?
Yeah,
dude, we should do the Friday films.
We should do Friday. That'd be hilarious. But
that's also Chris Tucker too, right? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, getting off track.
Yeah, no Chris Tucker. But I wasn't a huge fan of the last episode, because it departed from the Western theme. But I think I liked that one a lot more than I liked this one. Like that had
character development.
Character development, and it had character development,
and
had
a
lot more substance to it. Yeah, the stakes were a lot higher. I mean, and it's not bad to just have a few characters. There really was hardly any characters in this episode, and that's fine. But they didn't seem to. Usually, when you have so few characters, you get a really intimate story going. But no one really had huge developments in this story, including the main protagonist, the Mandalorian.
Do you know who directed this one?
No, I didn't see that. I usually go through all the credits at the end because I like seeing the artwork, but I knew we were going to do this podcast right after I finished. I didn't want to wait too long, so I didn't see who directed this now.
Okay. I couldn't remember either.
Yeah.
But
so
anyways,
your theory is that we're going to Boba Fett from here, right?
Oh yeah, because he's Boba Fett. His backpack's got jets, climbing out of wormholes to track other Mandalorians. But the only thing is, like, I don't think he has what's the armor called that he has? Vespar? No, what's the armor called?
The Boba Fett or the Mandalorians?
No, yeah, the Mandalorian. Do you remember what kind of?
It was Vespar or something like that.
Yeah, it's some kind of metal, right? I don't think Boba has that armor.
His didn't look shiny or anything. It was
because he's not a Mandalorian. His dad, like, he didn't grow up as a Mandalorian.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
He doesn't have the training. Yeah. He's just a bounty hunter that has the replica helmets because his dad was. So like maybe, that's why there's a dent. That's why there's a dent in his helmet, because it's not the right kind of metal. Anyways, that's nerdumville. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'll be curious to see if you.
This is just like me outing myself as a nerd. So this podcast.
If Nick is right, I'm gonna have to admit that he's right on this podcast, all you guys, and say, okay, yeah, he's not crazy after all.
I'm not. Maybe I am, but no, I'm not. Yes, I'm crazy.
Man, very good. So, any other specifics on this episode you want to discuss?
Well, they went to the canteen. What was that robot from? The one with the little flappy lip. What movie was that robot from?
Flappy lip.
The one that was at the bar. He's like, we don't do bounty hunters anymore or whatever.
Oh, I don't know.
It was bugging the heck out of me. I couldn't remember where that robot was from. I'm like, what the heck? And there was like a wasp in the background. Was there ever a wasp? Yeah. Did you see like the wasp?
No.
Like fly alien in the background? I'm like, what are we in a Rick and Morty episode?
In the original cantina scene, I'm not sure if you see him in A New Hope.
No, we see like a guy
going, a big praying mantis. No, I mean they have like a weird praying mantis costume in the back in A New Hope. I don't know if he actually made the cut in the movie, but so they have some weird creatures in Mos Eisley. But
how come they couldn't give us the guys playing music at least? If you're gonna enter the freaking cantina, at least give us the song. You know what I mean? Like,
boy, they would have been playing there for a long time if they were still there. The resident
that
band
would have been part of the joke, though. Like, I think people would have laughed. Like, oh my gosh, these guys have been playing here for 30 years. What if they left the arm on the ground from when
it's still there in a case? Just, I mean, it really didn't need to be Tatooine at all. It could have been any desert planet, and I felt like that would have been more. I mean, I remember.
No, it's because of Boba, dude. I'm telling you, it's all connected.
Nick raised his glass to the camera. Oh my god! And maybe that's the end of our podcast right there.
So if you think I'm right, please leave it. If you think I'm right, please leave it in the comments down below.
If you think he's crazy, let him know as well, so he knows I'm not alone.
Please let me know too.
Yeah.
If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. And if there's any other shows you would like us to cover, I really want to cover Rick and Morty next.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, guys, please let us know if you have any theories on who the guy is that leaned down at the end as well. If it's not Boba Fett, tell us your thoughts as well. Subscribe, give us ideas. Love having you guys along with us, and we'll see you on the next AsArt podcast.